Hello and welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Katt and I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. This is my little space on the internet where I have documented my knitting journey from Project 1 through to now and cultivated a kind of little community on the way, which has been really fun. So this is my third summer of knitting, and whilst it's cool enough in the UK that I can wear, this is a mohair, a mohair jumper. You know, I thought I would do a recap of some of my summer knits. So that's what this will be. I am drinking a chamomile tea, which is very special because it's picked from one of my favourite farms in Scotland, which I say farm, but really the chamomile does its own thing. It was seeded, like planted a few years ago, and it kind of now just does its own thing. It's a farm that's entirely off grid, and it just makes me very happy because it tastes a bit like honey, which I know chamomile can be sweet, but this is particularly sweet. So anyway, I'm going to put this down. And I also hope that the chamomile will help slow me down, help remind me of what I need to share rather than getting a little bit carried away and going totally off piste, which I often do. Sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's stories about things that will never be interesting to anyone. I am going to quickly be a good citizen and check that my phone is on mute. It has been. Yes, it is. But I know every now and then I do it and there'll be a big bloop. Little Audrey, who is the mascot star of this channel, isn't around. She's actually asleep in bed, which doesn't surprise me because she's been spending a lot of time in bed. I don't think it's warm enough to be snoozing on the garden swing like she likes to do in the summer usually. But I am wearing a ranunculus. This is something that will come up again. This is a pattern by Midori Hirose, and it's something that I've knitted multiple times. I think 7 or 8 at this point. I would love to knit another one. I have one that I'm kind of planning on doing in a mohair that is Damson Jamson by Creative Anarchy. I've got some left from one that I previously did, and I can't help but think I should do another one. A short sleeve one, either for myself or as a gift. I'm just going to put this down. There is so much knitwear around me, I've got nowhere to put stuff. Right, I had my book on my desk, my lap. I was writing in things I have to do today before I sat down and recorded. As in, you know, it's fine. Yeah, so this is Whistlebear's Cheviot Marsh and Evering Bell. In the cherry mallow colour is the Evering Bell, the one that's giving it more of the halo. And it's a slightly deeper pink, and Moorland Mist is the other one in the Cheviot Marsh base. Yeah, this is one of my favourite versions. I did it at a tighter gauge than the pattern suggests because I'm quite small. I wanted something that was a bit more form-fitting for me, and also a much shorter sleeve. And I love my other version, in particular my Railwork DK version. But I did the sleeves a bit too long and they're quite big, and it kind of drives me a bit spare. I was going to say potty, but spare, potty, whatever word you want to use, while I'm doing the washing up. So I wanted to do a version that was just a little bit more practical, and it's a bit more summery. It's a sassy pink colour, and yeah, I love this jumper. It's come in very handy already this year. It was cast on within minutes of the yarn arriving to my door. Yeah, I love Whistlebear yarn so very much. Yeah. Anyway, I was thinking about doing this in sort of chronological order, but I have gifted things, and if I'm honest, I don't think I'm going to talk about things that I've gifted because I don't have them. They're gifts. I could go back and ask people for like a review on how useful they've been, but at the moment there's just not really enough time in the day. So maybe once somewhere down the line that would be fun to get kind of gift knit review sharing. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, so I'm just going to start, and I think what I'll do is start with the summer versions of the ranunculus. Now, summer is different for everyone depending where you live, how, what you do, practicalities. I know some people work in an office maybe and are surrounded by air conditioning, so it's actually practical to have more items like this in the summer and layers so that you can take layers off when you leave the office. I don't have that kind of setup. We don't have air conditioning, we don't need it here. It does get warm, but we're not talking about 35 very frequently. So my summer wardrobe, I haven't actually had the opportunity to experience this year, so this is coming from experience that I've already had, but not as recently as I would like to have done. Some of them are yes, but some of them no. So consider that when you're picking yarns, because I have got some mohair pieces here, and for some of you, mohair is not really a summer yarn. It might be that it's nice for in the evening, or it does get cooler, as just a really light layering piece that you can throw in a bag if you're going away, or in an office with AC where you need layers. But this was my very first one. This is my first ranunculus that I would like to share. So this is knitted using Isega, I believe it is, their mohair. I cannot remember the colourway. I'll do my best to name colourways, but it's sort of a peachy colour. And this one I did knit a bit closer to pattern, I think, apart from going down needle sizes quite significantly. I think I went down to a 4.5 for this one. It's held up surprisingly well. I've not worn it millions, but I have worn it quite a bit. It's kind of starting to felt just a tiny bit, but like I say, usually I am really hard wearing on my clothes. I want to wear them. I don't want it to feel like I have to keep them special and keep them tucked away. I want to be able to wear them. And this one I wore for my granddad's 80th birthday, which was fun. So it can be dressed a bit more smart, it can be a bit more casual. And if you're after a really fun pattern that is versatile, this might be the one for you. I do talk about it a lot, so I won't go on too much, but if you're a newer knitter, it might be a challenge, but I would say that and I do a lot, take it step by step. The cast on is a tubular cast on, which is very different. It requires a crochet hook. There are different ways of doing it if you'd like to, and you don't ever have to do exactly what you're told. You can always go off piste, do a long tail cast on, whatever you want. But it's fairly straightforward, fairly easy to adjust. I think I will do my next version. For me, I will do even less. I think on a couple of the versions I've knitted, I've done less of the increases so that it hugs at me a little bit closer and sits higher up into the arm so that it doesn't lift up as much when I lift my arms up. So there's lots of modifications you can do if you're willing to, have a play. And yeah, this for me is really nice in a summer evening. It's nice for an event because of that. You can dress it up, dress it down. And it's just good day to day because it makes me feel a bit like a fairy. But then while we're talking about it, because I do have another one, this is probably my favourite version that I own. It's knitted using drops mohair, which is just affordable. The ethics are something that I'm not excited about because they're not very clear with it. I would really like to find a good... Oh dear, what's that? Oh, it's just a bit of sparkle. Where's that come from? A good indie dyer / maker, maybe Whistlebear will do a black yarn. but I would really like to knit one in a more ethical mohair. But this, I mean, I wear it a lot. This is like one of those, it's basically like a t-shirt for me. If it had a band logo on, it would be even better, but I haven't learned duplicate stitch that well yet. But again, I love this. This is something that I wear out if we ever do that again, and just day to day. Good with jeans, good with a skirt. Again, the construction is just really fun and quite modifiable. I could imagine if you really wanted to, you could do like a tunic, like a dress version, maybe in like a linen to put over swimwear. I don't know, it would be fun, right? Yeah, my first two. In fact, I'm gonna hang them over this sofa thing next to me, because if I've got to put them on and I've folded them and they've got lines in, it might not look very nice. Should we get through the mohair first, because they are a little bit less practical. This I was unsure whether to talk about, but I think it does count. I haven't shared the Cherry by Midori Hirose, but I'll put a picture up now quickly, because I didn't think it technically, it was a bit more coverage and mohair, so I haven't included it, but that's also a lovely pattern if you are interested in mohair. You can knit it in anything you want, obviously, but I do think it's beautiful in mohair, especially I feel like a fairy in it. So this one is something that I came up with myself. It can be a little bit squiffy. I'm not sure. I think the shoulders, I just added a few too many stitches perhaps, but I really like it. I have worn this a few times, sort of out to see friends and things, and I knitted it using Never Trust a Prince by Once Upon a Corgi, who might have changed name now, I'm not sure. But both of these are the same colourway on different bases. And yeah, so I knitted this bottom up, and then I did some decreases for the underarms. I left the back a little bit lower than the front, and then added some shaping in the front. Both the front and back have got a little I-cord bind off, and then I-cord straps that I then picked up and knitted the sleeves. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. This is something that, I don't know, I just had in my head and couldn't get out, so I took it upon myself to knit it. And again, if you can't find anything that you like, or you've got something in your head that you just need to get out, try it. This was my first kind of foray into trying to make something that was not, at the time I hadn't seen anything like this, so I kind of had to wing it. I think now there's a few more patterns that are available that are similar, but I don't know. So yeah, try things. If you've got the techniques, or you've not got the techniques, have a little look. Have a little look at, I don't know, how to knit straps, different bind-offs, and maybe get inspired that way. I don't know what I'm saying, but I like this one, but it doesn't get as much wear as the ranunculus because it's a little bit more difficult to wear, in my opinion. And I'm folding them up again. No, don't fold it. Don't fold it. Oh, that'll do. And finally, this is one of my favourites. I gifted the second version of it to my mother, which maybe in hindsight I should have waited, but I've gifted it and it really suits her. But this is my water fjord top, and this is something that, again, I had in my head and I couldn't let go of, so I knitted it. This is Lallybrock by Ginger Twist Studio, Jess is a lovely woman. I did a little interview with her, which was my first interview and really fun, but also I was absolutely nervous. And then this is a colourway that I came up with. I just did, it's a one of a kind, and then this one is actually naturally dyed using tea and turmeric, and I'm really chuffed with how gold it is. But I did run out of yarn, so I did add the striping, but I think it works. I really think it works. And this is a top-down construction. It's quite straightforward. It has short rows. I love my little frilly sleeves. But I am working on it. It's just taking, well, I finished it. I was fairly happy. And then I went back and I was a bit unsure. So I've spoken to my lovely tech editor, and she, like myself, has to take things a bit slow, and I really respect that and would rather do things slowly rather than rush. And also, we're not convinced that the grading I did was as good as it could be, and I do think it's really important. I think it's doing it to the absolute best that I can, rather than doing it the best as I could, is important to me. So I am taking it slow. I'm doing my, like, as slow as I can, and hoping to be able to share this, because it's mohair and it's fun, but it will have long sleeve options, which I think I'm going to knit myself a long one. I did also have, I don't know where that's gone actually. I've got a third version that was going to be my wedding top that has sort of 3/4 length sleeves that flared out, that were quite cool, but in the end it wasn't what I wanted to wear. Yeah, so this is this one, kind of fun, cropped little top. I think it's potentially more of a transitional piece technically, but I love it and I do wear it in the summer, so we're here. We're here! Yeah! I don't know where to go. I'll hit pause because I've been talking for quite some time. So, while we're in sort of t-shirt zone, that's the thing. This is the Rizzo, which is a pattern by Amy Appel, or Poison Girl Knits. I believe this is Ching Fibre in the Dark Forest colourway. It's washed out quite a bit, and even though there's quite a lot of silk, it does seem to be pilling a fair amount. But otherwise, I love this top. I'm actually knitting it again at the moment in a very different yarn. Again, I've got 3 Soldotnas that I was going to maybe include, but for me they are not practical for... They're just not that practical. I think if you had more cardigans in your wardrobe, which I don't have that many, I would like to have some more, then they're kind of useful because it's sort of like a jumper but not. But the fact that they are DK weight, and maybe it's because I like woolly wool, they're just a bit too warm for the summer, and they're not coverage enough for the transitional months in the winter for me. But this is okay. I've noticed that when I worked outside a lot more, this was a good top in the morning. So before it got too warm in the day, this was great. I'd have a little tank top underneath so that when it did eventually get warm enough, I could take it off and be just ready to go still. I also think this is a really nice top for slightly fancier occasions. The texture, the fit, Amy's use of shaping is, like, I really, really rate it. I think this one bunches up a little bit at the underarms, and I think my other one will too, but quite a few of my jumpers do that. Well, not many, to be honest, but it's not much. It's not an issue for me, but I think that might be noted in wearing it. And yeah, I quite like the 2x2 rib. I don't often do that, and if you're looking for something slightly fancier or that could also be a bit more t-shirty, I think this is a great option, especially if you're into doing a little bit of the vintage thing every now and then, which I really am. But yeah, cute. I like the capped sleeves, the shaping. I like the eyelets. I just like it. I think it would also be nice knitted plain. I don't think if you wanted just a really basic, nicely fitted top, I think omitting the seed stitch and the eyelets, it would be a wonderful thing too. Which maybe I should have considered for my version that I'm doing, but I keep folding it. What am I doing? Put it away. But yeah, Amy's got quite a few good t-shirty type patterns. I think there's the boardwalk blouse, the Frenchy blouse, which I think for me is just not, but it's very cute. It's very cute, but it's not my thing, because I do tend to have a lot of patterned skirts when it comes to wearing older style clothing, and even some of my modern stuff. So yeah, there is so much that I want to talk about. I'm such a weirdo. Let's go with these, because this is fun. So this was a test knit that I did, and it was for Courtney, who is Ivy and Autumn on Instagram, which she actually no longer uses Instagram when I remember it. But this is the Lydia Tank 2.0, and this lace is so moorish to work. I would gladly knit a couple more of these. And maybe in a different yarn. I've said this for a long time, I'm not that keen at all really on superwash. It's fine, people use it. I'm not going to talk about it now. But when it comes to merino singles, I'm not convinced on how it wears. It feels nice, it's kind of fine, but I would love to knit this in sort of a silk cotton linen blend instead. But yeah, beautiful. I think if whatever this little doozy, if that wasn't there, I would be content to wear this inside out as well. I think it's equally as lovely. And this is something that I do wear all year. I wear it as just a tank top in the summer, and then in the winter I wear long sleeve tops underneath it, and I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, so this was the very first version I did, and I remember knitting the second size. No, I did the smallest size, but I had a slightly, well, this will show you, I didn't swatch for the second one that I did, and went back to my notes and knit it using the same needle for a second time, and it's come out quite a bit smaller. Again, this was going to be something that I maybe wore for our little wedding that we had, but it was just a bit small. I've worn it a few times already, but like in the summer, but it's not actually been that warm, and the layered tops I have, the long sleeve tops, are all black, and I'm just not, I don't know, I'm not convinced on this with black. The construction of this is bottom up, and Courtney gives you lots of information on when shaping's happening, including charts, so if you're doing shaping, it's quite easy to remember. I think I quite like the method that she has. If I don't have access to a printer, I'll rewrite it out in my little book. And then I just wanted to say it's got a little v-neck at the back. So she does say you can wear it both ways, but I don't know, I'm not a v-neck person. I might if I was layering them, which I guess I could do. I could layer these two together quite nicely. But yeah, it's quite amazing to see the difference in the lacework. This lacework is approximately 100% neater than my first attempt, I would say. But maybe it's because it shows up better in the lighter colour. But yeah, I think from memory, Courtney's patterns are really inclusive when it comes to sizing. But I can't, that's just me trying to remember. I think they are. And yeah, really, really like this pattern. I just wish a little bit that I used a more summery, not singles yarn, and that is something that comes with a lot of the summery knits that I have done and passed on or have got. We'll get to it. This one is also a test knit for Courtney, and it's not released now as I'm recording, but it should be in theory by the time I get to share this, because I'm pre-recording just in case that I don't have time, because we've got some busyness coming up. And this top I mentioned that I had knitted, and it still stands true. I might unpick the straps, and so I'll show you. So I think I'll unpick up to here and redo some shaping to give me a little bit more coverage, because it's just not that me. The back is absolutely stunning. It has a crossover back that hangs nice and loose, which is perfect for the summer, and this gorgeous little lace section in the front. Again, certain people will love this, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but for me it's just not quite right. I knitted this one using, and it's going to last better than any of the singles. This is, I think, Super Sock by La Bien-Aimée in the peanut butter and jelly colourway. I swatched for this, but it did come out smaller than recommended, so I knitted it again to see if this for me, personal issue, would change, and it did, but it's still not quite as I would like it to be. So here she is. This is knitted using Manos de Uruguay Fino in the Amethyst Earring colourway, and it's just stunning. This is non-superwash. This makes my heart sing. 80% wool with 20% silk. The back on this looks particularly nice, I think, and this does fit a lot better, but again I'm going to go in and reknit the front. Hi Audrey, you can say hi, but I know you'll get up and move. So I will reknit it, but I'm not panicking about doing it, because I'm not. I wanted to be able to have it for a little while Courtney gets it released, you know, as the pattern is. And I think this one in particular is good because of that open back and the eyelets on the front. It's going to be a good summer top. I would again love to knit this in a proper summer yarn, maybe Organic Trio, which I really enjoyed knitting the next project that I'll show you in. But yeah, I think this is a beautiful, beautiful summer pattern, and maybe I'd add more length if I knitted it again on the underarm, but great with crop tops, great with layering. And yeah, I'll show you the Organic Trio while I have it in my head. So I am doing these very out of order. Hey, you're out of order. Audrey. This one is the Heya tank by Kiyomi Bergen. I have modified it to have a flat back rather than mimicking the sort of v-neck at the front. This is personal preference. This is just something that I really like to do. You might see that coming up. This yarn is Organic Trio, and it is beautiful. It's cotton, wool and silk, if I remember rightly. I might remember wrongly, but it's really affordable actually, having looked at it. I think it's £5 for 50 grams, which if you're wanting a top like this it's £2, so £10 for a top, and you will have leftovers depending on what size you do, but I think you'd get a decent size out of 2 balls. I love this colour. This was a kind gift, the colourway, but this is just a very simple, very wearable summer top. Because it's, I think I knitted the second size, I knit it bottom up in the round rather than flat as suggested, which really just means a stockinette tube and then a little bit of shaping, which It's quite fun. It's almost like an, you know, a more comfortable sock to knit on for me. I quite like knitting on bigger needles, longer needles I should say. So yeah, a very simple pattern, very easy to add into a wardrobe. I could imagine having this in a lot of things, but this in black and getting loads of wear out of it. Yeah, cute little top. Ooh, where should we go? Let's go way off. Let's go for the first one that I knitted first. This is something that I came up with too. I'm not quite sure why. I think because it's knitted with the same construction as tops that I knit, as in we knit at the front and then the back has this big open divide, I ended up knitting a playsuit. And I think that's correct. Playsuits, shorts and a top. It's a bit big for trying to show on here, but it has this cute little detail of braiding on the front. And I knitted this using Weareknitters Pima cotton, I believe it is. I might be wrong, but Pima cotton, I believe. And I think it's like a steel blue colour, steel grey colour. This is something that I made up as I went along, so I've written notes on how I did it, so if I want to redo it I can. But it's not something I'm going to do because I don't yet have the skills to grade it, and I would absolutely love to and improve the fit for myself, but you know, and then pass it on, but you know, I'm just not there yet. If someone wants to help me, I'd be happy to do it. But yeah, so it has the welt detail at the top, so that that's how it's tied up. It's got eyelets along the side for the increases. And it has another welt which I use to tie the back. So you can cinch it in at the waist or keep it really loose if you want. And it has an I-cord bind off and a little braid detail along the side. So I think it's got fun details on it, and I really enjoyed knitting it. It knit up a lot quicker than I thought, considering, you know, there's quite a bit of stockinette and quite a bit of knitting backwards and forwards for the divide, but I'm not purl adverse. I quite enjoy a purl stitch, and I think that's because I found the way I like to purl, and that is continental. It just works for me. I've done a little bit of Portuguese purling, and that's also nice if it's hundreds and hundreds of stitches. It's quite easy on the hands. But so if you haven't found a purl that makes you happy, maybe do a little bit of research on that, and then enjoy doing back and forth flat pieces and things. Yeah, so I really like that. That is comfortable. I've actually worn it sort of early spring through to now quite comfortably. I imagine that when it gets a bit cooler I'll be able to again wear leggings under it, a long sleeve top, jumper, and it'll just kind of look like shorts or culottes and be warm enough. Are you finished? Hopefully you haven't heard her munching away. Little Audrey, that is. And this one stems from that playsuit, and this is one that we have shared here. It was very kindly requested, and this is my little rebel dress, and I called it that because I knit it using 100% alpaca with the intention of it being sort of a spring, summer, autumn dress, and I think it will just be worn all year round, to be honest. It's quite practical for me. It's like almost black brown. It's not quite, but it has the white alpaca hairs in there too, which gives it a sort of heathered effect, and this gets quite a lot of wear. It is very straightforward. It has short ropes to lower the back. It has an elasticated waist, which you could very easily do as I did on the play suit and just put in just a braid and tie it. I just liked the idea of having an elasticated waist, and this is, I think I explained at the time, elastic from, I want to say at least 15 years ago, so it's probably seen better days, but I had it and I figured I'd use it. And then it has a flat back and some shaping on the front. It's got some double I-cord straps, and this again will be a great layering one. I think it doesn't get that warm here, so if you swim in the sea, this might be a great option to put on afterwards. A little bit of extra warmth without looking like you've just like piled on things. Yeah, I've enjoyed wearing it so far. It's something that I can make look a little bit more sassy and normal, but also put on some docks and my black ranunculus and feel a little bit punk rock still, while wearing an entirely knitted outfit in summer. Yeah, that's that. I think that one is, I think it's only on Ko-Fi at the moment. But yeah, thank you so much. There's been a few really nice versions that have already been knitted of it, and I would love to knit another one. But I won't. I have to try and stop knitting many of the same thing. Which, speaking of which, let's show you things that I've knitted many of the same thing. Let's go this way. This is the Little Summer Crop by Jessie May. This is, I'm not convinced. It's fine, and I wear the two that I've knitted a fair amount. Not loads, but a fair amount. They're fairly practical if you can get it right. It seems to me that there's a real issue with getting gauge, and I definitely would never knit it in fingering weight yarn again. This one's in DK, and it's better for me. It's a nicer fit by a million miles, and the other one's my fault. I should have just stopped. So I'm not, this is not, but the gauge is hard to achieve, so I would just swatch with the yarn until I got a gauge and stitch that I liked, and then go from there rather than trying to match gauge. This is, it's really not holding up very good. This is I think it's Super Soft Sock, no, DK by Ching Fibre in the Moss colourway, but this is holding up pretty good in comparison. It's still it's still wearing a bit. This is super fine merino by White Gum Wool, which just feels amazing. Like, it really feels amazing. I did knit another one, but felted it sadly. Of a top I'll show you in a second. So yeah, great little top. I just would only knit it in DK weight, and much prefer the style of top that I'll share next. So this is the other one, which is super cute, and I wear this as a layering piece now and not really a top. I have considered ripping it out and re-knitting it into something else that's a bit more practical for me, and that still might happen, but I have turned some of the yarn into a dice bag, and I'm not convinced I want to rip out my dice bag, so I might not have enough to do anything else with. We'll see. But this beautiful colour is Unicorn Hamsters by the Corner of Craft, which is Hannah, who's also Chromatic Yarns. It's her yarn business. This was a Yarn Club colourway, but she now does it, I believe, just normal, and it's so much fun. And it's a colour that actually I really like on me, which I really didn't think I would. But yeah, if you're happy to do a little bit of modificationing and checking your gauge first, and this is a great layering top and a good little top. But the more practical one for me is this, which is the My Secret Little Crop by Jessie May. The ribbing gives a lot more coverage, I would say. Yeah, you know, you don't have to cover, but it just feels a bit more, it's better for me. It hugs into the body, which I really like. There's no rolling of the neckline because it's ribbed. Even the back is ribbed too, and it was a lot easier to gauge and get what I wanted by following the pattern and not winging it and hoping that what I've modified works. So if you are looking for a very simple crop top pattern for the summer, I would 1000% recommend this. And like the Lydia tank, these are ones I also layer over and under tops too. I find them to be comfortable. I've got 3 here. So this first colour is Flowers for Yasha by Chromatic Yarns in the Sturdy DK. I love this colour. It's not the most flattering on me, but it's very cool from where it's from. This one is the Ford colourway, which I came up with years ago, or a year ago, maybe 2, and it's a high twist BFL base. I think I held it double and love the way this one came out. I wear this one quite a lot. It's sort of, well, if you know Critical Role, you'll get that inspiration, I think, and if not, it's quite moody and earthy, which I'm very into. And then this one is the one that's the most worst for wear. This one is, I believe, Slate, and it's Super Soft DK by Ching Fibre. I did it a bit shorter, and I think it's in here. Am I going to be able to get it out? This one, sadly, is my favourite version, but it's tiny now. This was the white gum wool version, but sadly it snuck into the washing machine, and usually I'm really good at checking, but I clearly hadn't, and now I've got one for little Audrey to wear. I won't put it on the cat, but yeah, I'm still not sure what to do with this because this fabric is so dense and nice now. Perhaps it should be some sort of needle case or something, a nod to knitting. But I did have 4 and I've knitted 3 or 4 of them for friends. I would 100% make more for gifts and more for myself. I wear them instead of wearing anything else, so they are just underwear and a top in one. I feel safe in them and covered. I would say that the non-superwash yarns, well, this is superwash, but this holds better. This DK, this is sturdy, so I think this is Blueface Leicester. This one is too, and these hold up a lot better than this. This is opened up, and once it's opened up, you have to wash it to get it back, and it doesn't, you know, superwash grows, it just does, but this goes back a lot better. It fits really nicely for a lot longer, and hasn't lost its shape like this one. I mean, you can see in the ridges of the ribs a lot more pronounced. So that's something to maybe think about. And these are, as they are called, this is the Framework Bralette by Jessie May. And I knitted them both in Paintbox DK cotton. Paintbox cotton DK. This one in a lighter colour, and Alex over-dyed using turmeric, which has faded significantly as anticipated. And this is just the mid-grey colour, and I quite like it. I modified it slightly to have, once again, a flat back, as in it goes straight across the back rather than any shaping. It should have had this on the back too, the V-neck and almost the cups, but I just don't need that coverage in the winter or the summer really. It's not going to do all that much, and I just much prefer the freedom. So again, this is a great pattern. There's lots of modifications you can do for sizing and shaping. I think Marina had a great idea in that she cast on, I think, either underneath the rib or, yeah, just before where the rib is, and knitted the top, and then picked up the provisional cast on and knit down until she ran out of yarn. And I think that's a really great modification, and also added elastic into it. So I highly recommend checking out Marina if you are interested in knitting something like this but you feel like you won't get the support you need. You can. It's a very good pattern, and I think very, very comfortable. The cotton stretches out loads but always comes back, and I quite like it. I quite like that it's just a bit loosey-goosey, it's a bit summery, which is what we're going for here. Yeah. So I would recommend, I think, these two. I think the Secret Little Crop and the Framework Bralette are great, and I would love to knit other Jessie's patterns, but when I have two that work for me, I don't feel like I need to try anymore. And that's not because I wouldn't love to, but finances, it makes more sense to keep knitting things that I already know work, fit well, and I enjoy knitting, than spending money on something that potentially I won't enjoy. I think I got the Secret summer one, my summer crop, for free, and yeah, I probably wouldn't pay for it if I'm honest. Just putting that out there. Whoa. Whoa. Right, I'm gonna hit pause. We are getting there. So this, just quickly, this one is, I should have shared it when I shared my waterfall top, and this one utilised the numbers that I had made for the second version. The second version fit a lot nicer, I would say, and so I used those numbers to knit this. And this was my wedding top. It has, two of the stitches are borrowed from the ranunculus, and the rest is just kind of my own. I used the numbers, made some stitches, and kind of improvised as I went, and I absolutely love it. The yarn itself is, I would say, a great summer yarn. If you're not wanting mohair but you would like a little bit of a halo, something super soft and silky, this is Back to Blighty's alpaca lace. I think it's alpaca silk lace, and the colourway is called Catherine, which she dyed specifically for me, which I'm very grateful for. I sent her a message in a bit of a panic, being like, I really have this idea of a colour and it looks like this colour of yours, but can you dye it a bit paler? And she did. It's a lace weight yarn, and I held it double, and the fabric is so drapey and airy and light that I'm wearing this a lot, even though it's my wedding top and I should probably be just a little bit more gentle than I am. But I love this yarn for the summer. I have another skein, and it was earmarked for the project that I kind of asked for the yarn to be dyed for, but as much as I would really love to knit said project, I'm just not sure that this yarn isn't just so nice that it should be more light summery tops, not the project I had in mind. Yeah, I think it's lovely. So I would happily say, if you're after a summery yarn that, you know, you would like to maybe knit the ranunculus, but you feel like mohair isn't for you, or is a bit scritchy or a bit warm, the alpaca may be just as warm, I'm not sure. But I don't find it that to be the case, and I think the silk content in there gives it such a lovely drape. Yeah, so it's a very good alternative, I would say, and I think if she still has it, it's got a massive meterage for a 100-gram skein. It's like, I want to say 800 or 1200 meters, which is loads. So it's a very cool option, just saying. It's nearly lunchtime. I think I'm starting to get a little bit hungry and a bit wavy, or maybe it's just because I'm talking. I really enjoy talking to you. It's not strange. I don't know who you are right now. You could be you could be anyone that I know, or don't, in which case, hi! Right, and I think we are drawing to it near the end, if you can believe it. I think this one was the very first prototype of my own thing, and this I lovingly called the Oopsie Daisy top because this stitch pattern really should have been knitted the other way up, but I didn't. I did it the other way, so I think I knitted top down, and the stitch should have been more like daisies, not like umbrellas. This yarn is, it is a La Bienne May colour, but I can't remember what colourway it is. But deep stash, deep wool pantry, kind of fun, kind of summery. But yeah, so this was, like I said, the first attempt at knitting something of my own. If I knit it now, I would definitely knit it smaller so it fitted more closely, but I love that it's as loose as it is. It's a bit wild and a bit hairy, but I like it. And yeah, so I'm going to skip forward through this one a little bit quicker. And then this was the second version I did when I came back from Spain, where we had been, where I was knitting this. Again, back to Blighty, released this beautiful sock set which had these two colours, which were called Forget Me Not socks, I think, sock set. And I came up with this chart, well, these two techniques, stitches that I found, and absolutely wanted to put them into an item. So I've reknit the top with some modifications. I love the open back even now. I quite like the yarn over increases. And again, I think that something about the sizing, it was just a little bit off. I think it's a very good, you know, first or second go. And I still wear this. I still wear this quite a bit. I think Alex took some really nice pictures of it in a lavender field. This is a high twist BFO, and again, the stitch definition is amazing when it comes to a high twist. I love it for that. Not convinced that most people would enjoy wearing this in the summer, but I have no issue doing so. I think it's on a cooler day with my big linen trousers, it's a wonderful ensemble, but then when it's a bit hotter with just linen shorts. Yeah, so these two are just my own. They are something that I have. But this one is one that I did release after, whilst we were in Cala Gaudana in Spain. I just felt really inspired, and there were some tiles in particular that I'll see if I can find a picture, I might not be able to, that had these sort of markings on this one, and then there was like a lattice fence, I think, underneath it, and it just kind of all clicked. But this is my Cala Gaudana top, which I have seen some really beautiful versions of, and it makes my heart sing and panic and freak out. But again, it's got the tie around the neck, it's got the split in the back, it's a little bit less deep than my previous versions. I omitted the yarn overs and just did increases along the side that are sort of hidden increases. And this one was knitted using yak silk, which is probably a bit wild for a summer item, but I love it. I still wear it a lot. I wear it in the winter too, again layered with long sleeve black tops, and I think if you wore a cardigan with it you wouldn't even be able to tell that it didn't have sleeves and no back. Well, it has a back, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I really like this top. It brings me a lot of joy, and it was the very first thing that I ever shared into the world, which does make me panic and freak out still. But yeah, and then this is the other version, which is again the same, that yarn that I used for the Rizzo. It's again faded quite a bit, and it just is what it is. I think this is a slightly larger version. This was my first, this was the second size I think, and my first version of it, and this one on the yak was my second version in the smallest size, I believe. And yeah, I really like these tops, but I'm not going to talk about them anymore because it's awkward and weird, just like me. I don't know how to make of it, Alex. Anyway, yeah, I kind of hope that was slightly useful. I probably should have sat down and written notes on other things I wanted to mention, but I think for me, pre-planned can be not very good. I feel like I could say things in the wrong order and then I get in a tizzy if I haven't said something, whereas if I'm just talking about them honestly from the heart, what happens happens. Yeah, I hope that was kind of interesting and fun. I am working on a Rizzo, and other than that I don't have any more plans in particular for summer tops that are kind of set in stone. I did cast on some lace work for a top that I wanted to knit in Forage and Sew's indigo colour that she sent me, which is really beautiful. It's a Polworth base, but I've just got quite a few things on my needles that I would like to just finish, clear up, and then consider a little bit more time for creativity and honing that in, because I have sketched out a few ideas, but there's nothing that I'm totally like, yeah, I've got to do it now. And while I'm on a bit of a kick with the blanket that I'm working on and have a few unfinished things and a few things I would really like to move forward with, I'm just gonna put it to the side. But I do think there are some cool options for summer knits. There's a few new tops coming out this summer that look beautiful. I guess keep your eye on Ravelry if it's accessible to you, or Instagram. Again, I am not spending too much time on Instagram at the moment, so I'm not kind of seeing too much of what's coming up and coming out, and that's just because I kind of needed a break from screen time as much. I spent yesterday, if you see the video that would be released on, I think on the 1st or 2nd of June, I spent nearly 12 hours at a computer yesterday, or a screen, so I'm having a bit of a week off, and then maybe we'll dive back in and get really excited about seeing everyone's knits and you know what's coming out. But yeah, anyway, I hope whatever you are up to, you are well. I hope that you take time to look after yourself, check in with everyone that you love. It's really important to spend time talking to people in this kind of solitary time that we're living in. Some of us have lived that way for a bit longer. I've lived it for a bit longer than those dealing with the pandemic, but I know that just a couple of extra years has made it such a strange impact on me, that just remember, if you've got friends that have got something, you know, long term that means that they're not out of the house as much as maybe you are, maybe send them a message, give them a call. I think it's just good. It's just very good. People need people more than we, you know, a lot of us think we do. Does that make sense? Hope so. Anyway, I really hope you are well. Please take care of yourself. If you're watching Exandria Unlimited, maybe let me know. Don't do any spoilers, obviously, but I am hoping to sit down this evening with just maybe an hour or two of it if I can. And yeah, have a lovely time no matter what you're up to. If you are new here, this might be a strange setup for you to kind of jump in on. But hi, it's lovely to meet you. And yeah, big thank you again. And I say it week in, or as often as I can, but I really mean it. Thank you to those that have supported on Ko-fi, either by purchasing yarn, purchasing patterns, taking the free patterns. It's just cool to know that people want them, and supporting me in buying me a cup of tea. It's really cool. And yeah, I'm gonna stop waffling. It's really cool to see you. Take care of yourself. Don't forget to love each other, and I'll see you again soon, hopefully.